Coach Crean, we'll have you start with an opening statement, then we'll do questions for the student athletes first.
I'm really thinking about that. I'm not sure what to say. I'm proud of my players, I know that, and I'm sure John is as well. That was a hard-fought battle. And I'm looking at this stat sheet trying to figure it out, and I guess the biggest difference is just the foul line. And when they got to the bonus. And I know we had to foul at the end a little bit, but I would just say, for two teams that shoot the free throws as well as we both do, national leaders like we both are, and get a lot of attempts, and certainly it's going to come down to that. They got some timely offensive boards, but no one really got momentum. We never. The start of the second half gave them some confidence, and we were playing uphill from there, but it was never out of reach. So, as I said to my team, there's always sadness, tremendous sadness, and it hits you later on, but there's a lot more sadness when you realize that your team or your players, that they had something left, and they didn't give it all. The Indiana men, and I mean, quote me, the Indiana men, mighty men, as I've learned from my brother-in-laws in the way they describe their players, the Indiana mighty men, they gave it all. They left it all on that court. And I'm proud of what they did. We don't take the moral victory in any sense because we lost. But when you do everything you can do and you give every ounce of fight that you have, you can move forward. And that's where we're at.
We'll take questions for the student athletes. Front row on the left.
Victor, I know it's tough, so close to the end of the game, but can you just talk about where this program has come in your 2 years and how excited you are for the future?
I know when I first got here, it was rough for this program, and we've been through a lot of ups and downs, and our seniors are the big reason why we're so successful right now. And the additional players that have come on since then, myself, these juniors who've been through the struggle, and now that we're all together, it's a bright future for this program. And we're just going to continue to keep growing as men and as players, and keep listening to Coach Crean, because when we listen to him, we are successful.
Questions for the student athletes? Raise your hand, please. On the left, third row.
Joe Cavanaugh, East Fort Christian, you obviously came to play again today. Everybody did. Talk about what went into that performance, both individually. What helped you guys to attack the way you did and give back Kentucky everything they gave to you?
Well, my teammates did a great job at finding me, and it was a moving game out there. We did have some great ball reversals, and it kind of got me going. And like I said, my teammates did a great job at finding me. We got some movement out of the basketball, got some back cuts and some lips.
Questions? Raise your hand and get the microphone to you. On the left, front row.
Guys, Dustin DePere, Bloomington Herald Times. Coach just mentioned the fouling, the free throws. I guess just what made it so tough, I guess, to defend without fouling with those guys. They obviously got in the paint a lot. So made that really hard to do, I guess.
Cody, would you like to answer that?
They're great drivers. They're attacking pretty hard throughout the game. Late in the game, we had to foul just to, try to close the margin a little bit. But they got the bonus pretty early, and that really helped them out pretty well. And then once they got there, they were knocking them down. So just credit to them.
Questions for the student athletes? Again on the left.
Kelly, this is for you. This is the first time in a while that your season has ended prematurely. Great success in high school. How different is this for you to experience sitting right here instead of being in a situation where you're on top of the world?
It's always tough, especially for the seniors. We're a tight-knit group. so it's tough to lose like this. We came into the game planning on winning, so that's why this one really hurts.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Anyone else? On our left here.
Christian Jerry Tipton, Lexington Hill. Kentucky made 35 out of 37 free throws. How aware of that are you guys? How during the game, and how monotonous was it to run after another kept going in?
As you playing basketball, they're just making them. I didn't really know what their percentage was during the game, but they did get to the line, and like Cody said, they drove the ball strong, and when they got there to the line, and they knocked them down.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Okay, guys, thank you very much. And we'll take questions for Coach Crean now. We'll start here on the right.
Coach, is there any way you could have imagined scoring 90 points and shooting 52% from the floor and not win this game?
When they make 22 more free throws and attempt 20 more than we do, I guess is the only way I could have imagined that. But I wouldn't have imagined a game like this having a free throw discrepancy of 20. So, this is what it is. Yeah, we did a lot of good things. They shot 20 more free throws. It's the game.
Question on our left towards the back of the room.
Tom, as you watch this Kentucky team and having played them twice, can you just comment on the fact that it's hard to beat them, and it's hard enough to beat them, but they don't seem to beat themselves. They don't seem to give you a whole lot of opportunities. Sorry, go ahead.
What's your point?
How difficult is it when they just don't give you a whole lot of opportunities to?
We scored 90 points. We scored 90 points. They're a really good team. They've got a lot of guys. They got a guy coming off the bench that's going to be a first-round draft pick. Darius Miller. They're tremendous. So I don't know if I can break down the game based on this game. We did a lot of good things, but they're a very talented team, and as I've said many times, I think it's obvious, they're extremely well coached. He is a great coach, and it's one thing to have talent, a whole other thing to get them to be as good as they are defensively, and this game came down to when we had the ball moving and offensively, when we could create some movement and get them out of team defense, then we had some opportunities, but that's a lot easier said than done. When their defense, as good as they are offensively and as talented as they are, the strength of their team is their defense, and I think that's what's and we did some good things tonight, but at the same time, that defense is really, really good.
On the left in the front.
Coach, I know that you don't really rank them, but with the way this team has developed, does this go down as one of your favorite teams that you've coached?
Well, I find a great level of satisfaction in everything. The first team we had at Indiana, got Kyle Tabor, Brett Finkelmeyer, all those guys. There's a lot of fond memories. I think when teams give you everything that they have, there's always going to be a special place. There's no question that this team and the people that have helped bring this program back to where it is right now, and I don't want to put an exclamation point or a period on it because we have a long way to go, but there's been a lot of really good things that have happened, and this team has got tremendous character. There's no question about that. We got a lot of tremendous young men that have been raised right by their families, have been coached right, and it's just an absolute honor to coach them. So in answer to your question, yes.
Any further questions on the left?
Coach, Dustin DePierre, Bloomington Hill Times, you mentioned them having a first-round draft pick coming off the bench. He hits those two big threes. It seemed like from that point on you're in a hole more or less and you're battling back. And how big are those to push you in a position?
Yeah, we made a couple personnel mistakes. Tim Buckley kept saying, it's not about playing their plays, we've got to play their players. And there were a couple of times that they got to their strengths. Jones got to his strengths, certainly Miller got to his strengths, and we broke down a little bit. And we were able to come back and get some of that, but they got momentum, and we were always playing uphill from that point on, and we were hanging right there, and we had some guys running on fumes. This thing I said to John, make sure you got enough energy to win this thing. Because that game took a lot out of everybody, no question about it. So when you got talent like that, as talented as they are, they've got they're really hard. I mean, they're hard-nosed young men. I mean, and I mean that with great respect, because we said it earlier in the week, they can get to the rim, they can shoot the pull-up, they can shoot threes, but boy, they don't have, everybody has got explosiveness in that first step. And if you're not right where you need to be, it's really hard to guard a team like that.
Question on the left.
Jerry Tipton, Lexington Hill. Tom, how well did your plan work to try to get Davis in foul trouble, and was that first half a missed opportunity at all that he played so little yet they were leading?
Well, it was a three-point game, so I guess I'd have to think about that. Thanks. I mean, seriously, I mean, he's a good player. They got a lot of good players, Jerry. I mean, you see him every day. I mean, they got a lot of good players. I mean, it's not like you can game plan to take one guy away or two guys away. We had foul trouble, too. I mean, if you paid attention to it, we had guys that were sitting on the bench as well. And so it's part of the game.
Question in front.
Did you come into the game looking to run and wear them down? And if so, how did all the foul calls kind of take away from that strategy?
Well, yes, we came into attack. There's no question about it. We came in to hopefully get into their bench, and we did a little bit, and then he didn't have to play his bench as much. And we definitely wanted to attack. What the score would be, how many points we would score, we knew we had to score 70 or more, because there's not very many stats that you can look at in their breakdown and say, okay, well, we can get an edge here. And again, it was amazing to me looking at all the national stats and how close we were in so many categories nationally, especially offensively. But they're a great rebounding team, and certainly they're a great defensive team, and we had to be on the attack, and we had to try to be in transition. So we did a lot of good things with that.
Any further questions? Question to our right, towards the back.
Coach, as frustrating as the loss is, the idea that these guys have bought in over the last couple of years, the guys that have been here for a number of years, when the wins weren't as easy to come by in the last 2, 3, is there satisfaction, even in the frustration, that you've watched that develop?
You know what would be satisfying to me, and I said this in our prayer, every one of these young men have grown up in so many ways in their leadership and their accountability of the way that they're always accountable. We got 1,000 on the APR, we've got over a 3.0 team GPA. I don't mean that accountability. I mean accountability to really playing up to their level, and I mean giving everything that they have. And it sounds easier than it is to do, but they have. And my hope, if God will grant me one thing with this team, is that every one of those young men is the spiritual leader of their families moving forward, as they become parents and husbands and leaders in other fields, or leaders professionally and playing on to the next level. As I've grown up, that ultimately is where you know that it's been right. When you can look at them and you know that their kids and their wives look at them and they know that's the spiritual leadership, spiritual compass of their home. That's important to me.
Fourth row on the left.
Coach Jimmy Cavanaugh, East Portcom, you talked about these guys growing up, talked about yourself developing there too. In the end of your first season, really emotional, you talked about that. And right here, it's obvious that all these guys are emotional. I think I'd dare to say that you're emotional too. Can you talk about the comparison between the end of that first season, that 25-loss season, and right here, Sweet 16, losing to Kentucky, but still having that same amount of emotion?
I don't know if I could compare it. I mean, in the sense that that's hard to do. I would say that first team gave everything that they had to, and we all had no idea what we were in for, and nobody did. Our fans, people that cover us, nobody had any idea what we were in for. It wasn't anything any of us signed up for, believe me. But everybody gave everything they had, and along the way, those freshmen that are leaving here as seniors, they grew to give more and more, every day and every year. And so I think if you can look back at your team and you can feel really good about everything that they gave and the way they've handled their business on and off the court, the way they've lived their life, the impact they've had on others, I think these young men have impacted the Indiana, the Hoosier Nation with their work ethic and with their love for Indiana and their desire to get better. And maybe a long time ago I wouldn't have looked at that as being important. I think that's real important, and I think they're doing it, and I think the ones that leave here have done it.
Any further questions for Coach Crean? Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you. No, we like that. We came to attack. I think both teams would give. I think both teams left everything they had, and we wanted to get into their bench. And we were successful in the first half. We weren't as successful in the second half. But they didn't really get. We played into ours, but everybody had some problems to deal with. We lost two valuable guys when you lose Victor. And we were trying to get Victor out when he got the fourth. Just hard. But I mean, it's as it goes. We came to battle, they came to battle, and they just came out on top at the end.
Kentucky was 35-37 for the line. You've been around basketball for a long time. Can you recall a team, pretty much been money at the line like that in a tournament game?
No, and I think this is such a great shooting place. There's those statistics that are out of how things drop in the dome, and I don't think any of us got caught up in that. I mean, they shot the ball. We shot the ball when we just didn't shoot very many free throws. But no, they're really good. You look at where they're at national scale wise with the statistics like that. They're right there. I mean, they're up near the very top of the country in free throw percentage and in free throw attempts. No, I'm not surprised. They've got great players, and there's no question about it. And they've got a great team. And it starts with John. I mean, how good a coach he is, and the coaching staff that he's got. I mean, to have that much talent and to get them to play that hard, that long, all year long, that says a lot.
What did you see at Kentucky on the outside as opposed to back in this?
I'd have to think that. I'd have to think about that. They're better. We're better. They just continue to grow and get better. I think the bottom line is still when you've got a guy like Darius Miller who's going to be a first-round draft pick coming off your bench. Not many can say that. So I think and the reason that's so important is because those other guys have continued to play at a really high level.
Could you appreciate the atmosphere in here tonight and just how electric it was?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I would think the hype surrounding it, there's no question. That was even underrated and undervalued for how loud it was. And I'd like to take it a couple minutes to take a look around. Didn't quite have that kind of time, but walking out there, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. And again, I think both teams went through the initial shock of the game a little bit. And our guys really recovered after just about that second time out. They were pretty good. But I'm proud of our guys for being in this situation. Never been in a situation like this before to a man, let alone been in this. And to come out of it the way they have, and again, not losing the game. We're way past the moral victory stage with this group. But they came out there and they battled against a great team. We were right there.
This is what you want Indiana basketball to be about. These kind of moments, these kind of games.
We want to keep that relevance moving in a great direction. No question.
Tom, how do you talk about you want these guys to be spiritual leaders? What does that mean to you? What do you want that to look like?
Everything's God-centered. That it's absolutely God-centered, no matter what. They win. And I think they will be. When you look at the pitfalls and the doubts that people can have inside of what they've had to deal with in this program, it's easy to lose your focus. It's easy to it's hard to put God at the top. And I think they've learned that there's no way around it. I hope these are people that continue to lead others to God. I mean, I really do, because they've got a great story to tell. The people that are leaving here, you look at all the great people, and not just the talented athletes, but the great people that have left Indiana. There's no doubt that these seniors leaving they've got a story, and I just want them to continue to live it. And I want people to see them, to see that's my biggest hope and prayer, is that people see that in them as they move forward in life.
Thanks, Coach.